Ever heard a song that felt alive, pulling you somewhere you can't escape? Welcome to Shadow Watch, where we chase tales that hum in the dark. Tonight, we're in Savannah, Georgia, a city of moss and ghosts, where a choir doesn't just sing, it binds. Meet the ghostly choir, their voices trapping your soul. And if you hear their hymn, you're not walking away free. Stay close. This story's twists will grip you tighter than you expect. This is Caleb Monroe, a 32-year-old historian. Sharp, driven, chasing stories etched in time. It's April 2025, and he's in Savannah's historic district, a maze of oak-lined squares and colonial graves to research 18th century settlers for a book. The locals are kind, but their voices drop when Caleb mentions the old cemetery, warning of songs at midnight. He's rented a loft on Bull Street, air thick with jasmine and dust, his recorder ready, but the city hums low like it's watching him. His first night, Caleb strolls the district, noting weathered stones and flickering lamps. The air's heavy Spanish moss swaying, but a hum starts, faint, not crickets, like voices singing Caleb from the graves, not the wind. His pulse jumps. He's alone, no one's near, but the cemetery feels alive, shadows shifting, too smooth. He shakes it off, scholar's fatigue, but his recorder catches a hymn, warped, forming spirals, not his, tracing his dreams. Strange ones, of a vow he never made, a cry he never heard. In his loft, he plays the audio, but the hymn morphs, weaving words, not his. Strange phrases, of a betrayal he never knew, a truth he never faced. Caleb's no poet, but this isn't imagination. He searches online, finding whispers about the ghostly choir, tied to a 1780s preacher, Elias Marrow, whose hymns bound souls, trapping sins, guilt, regrets, secrets. After a riot, Elias vanished, but his choir stayed, calling those with debts. Caleb laughs, ghost tales sell tours, but his notebook's open, words scrawled, "You walked away," not his pen. About a choice he buried, a mentor he failed, a truth he dodged. Next morning, he asks a librarian, Ruth, about the cemetery. Her eyes narrow, saying, "Don't linger after dark, son, they sing for you." Caleb smirks, southern myths, but Ruth's hands shake like she's heard them too. He visits the cemetery, air thick with decay. The hum returns. Caleb, sharper, weaving his name with shame, his regrets clear as oak. His flashlight dims, shadows moving. Not moss, but shapes, blurred, watching from the tombs. He spots a gravestone, old, carved with spirals, glowing faintly, warm, like it's alive. The hum spikes, Caleb, then more. You let him fall. You hid. His secrets, small but raw, spilling from the hymn. A chant sounds, not wind behind him. The hum sings cold, like frost in his bones. Caleb bolts, loft in sight, but the cemetery's heavy, pulsing. His thoughts not his, looping a man's scream, a crowd's roar. Inside, he's panting, notebook glowing faintly, his name etched in spirals, alive. Savannah hides its snares, but the choir's whispers cut deep. What would you do with a song that knows your soul, voices that don't fade? Would you listen or run? Caleb's about to learn what the ghostly choir wants, and it's not just a hymn. Don't go anywhere. This tale's rising to life, darker than Savannah's deepest graves. Caleb's hands tremble. The notebook pulses in his grip, his name etched in spirals. You walked away, not his hand. The ghostly choir's hum weaves through the loft, spilling his secrets. A mentor he failed, a truth he dodged. The air's heavy. Savannah presses in, shadows swaying, not with oaks but intent. Their hymns threading his thoughts, alien, raw. He's traced history before, but this isn't research. It's a trap, and the choir has him snared. He drops the notebook, but the hum grows, whispering Caleb through the walls. Soft, relentless, naming his shame. Caleb dives into research, digging into Elias Marrow, the preacher of the 1780s. His choir-bound souls, trapping sins, guilt, lies, regrets. A record mentions his grave, never cleared, always calling those with debts. Caleb's no believer, but the hymns burn, and the hum's not folklore, it's here. He steps out, flashlight trembling. The district's darker, moss creaking, the cemetery glowing faintly. The air's thick with jasmine and decay. The hum shifts, whispering, Caleb, then sharper, you let him fall. His past spills from the graves, raw. His light catches spirals carved in stones, pulsing red like blood in ash. The city feels alive, watching. A chant sounds not wind but deliberate, like voices. The hum sings Caleb, weaving his regrets. You hid, you broke. Small sins heavy burned into his mind. Caleb pushes deeper, reckless, needing proof. The hum grows louder. A chorus now, naming his fears, his flaws. He reaches the cemetery. A gravestone's etched with spirals, glowing, alive. The hum spikes Caleb, cold from the earth, not the air. Shadows move, not moss, but shapes, blurred, their eyes glinting, reflecting his guilt, his shame, too many. Elias's work. He kneels, finding a stone etched with names. Elias's 1780s underlined, then others. Caleb's fresh, wet, like sap. His throat locks. This isn't history, it's a claim. Elias's choir is his voice, his curse, binding Savannah's souls. The hum sings Caleb, promising truth if he stays, ruin if he runs. The shadows curl, clearer now, not people but sins, his, others, hungry, alive. Caleb backs away, flashlight flickering. The cemetery shrinks, oaks groaning, shadows snagging his arms, cold like earth and frost, urging him to stay. He trips, notebook falling, pages open, new words, you're theirs. The shadows hiss, their eyes locking his, peeling his soul. A choice he dodged, a trust he broke. The gravestone pulses, red, and something moves, not light but earth, coiling toward him, alive, claiming. He bolts, graves snapping, the hum roaring, Caleb, weaving his name with pain. A failure he buried, a truth he cracked. The district blurs, cemetery fading, shadows gliding, not chasing but waiting. His loft's ahead, door ajar, though he locked it, notebook glowing inside. His name bolder, etched deep. He slams it shut, panting. The hum fades but lingers in him, looping. His thoughts are no longer his. Savannah hides its snares, but the choir's hymns cut deep. What would you do with a song that knows your heart, voices that never blink? Would you listen or run? Caleb's caught in the choir's curse, and it's not letting go. Stay with us. This story's singing louder, darker than Savannah's oldest tombs. Caleb's heart slams. The notebook's words, you're theirs, burn his eyes. The ghostly choir's hum claws his mind, whispering, Caleb, spilling his secrets. A mentor he failed, a truth he dodged. The loft air chokes. Savannah looms, its hymns weaving Elias Marrow's curse, peeling his soul. Guilt, shame his name. Shadows glide with glinting eyes, not moss but sins, hungry, binding him note by note. He grips the notebook. Its spirals pulse. Names, Elias's 1780s, circled, then others. Caleb's glowing red like sap in frost, mark the page. The hum spikes, chanting, Caleb, naming his sins. Small scars become anchors. A book he botched, a trust he broke. The cemetery song weaves relentlessly. Shadows sharpen into blurred forms, not human, but pain, Elias's pain. Their eyes reflect Caleb's regrets, raw and alive, pulling him deeper into the dark. Caleb digs through records, finding Elias's tale. A preacher cursed for betrayal, his choir-bound souls, trapping sins, debts, lies, regrets. The notebook pulses with new words. You owe. Caleb's no traitor, yet the hum roars Caleb from the walls, exposing his fears. A chant twists, not wood, but air. Shadows rise, clearer now, souls lost, their eyes his, Elias's, dragging him to the cemetery, to its stones. He grabs a flashlight, reckless, needing answers, and bolts to the district. The oaks loom, branches groaning. The hum becomes a chorus, spilling his past. You failed. You ran. The gravestone looms, spirals flaring red, pulsing, alive. The hum screams, Caleb. Shadows close in, their touch cold like earth and ash, urging him to listen. He sweeps the stone. Moss parts, revealing carvings, etched with spirals. Glowing, heavy, Elias's threading his name. The notebook burns, pages tearing. The cemetery sways, graves coiling. Not wind, but will, Elias's will. The shadows hum, their voices blending. Caleb, promising truth if he stays, ruin if he fights. He lifts a stone shard, hands shaking, finding names etched, Elias's, others, Caleb's, fresh, wet, alive. The hum commands Caleb. The shadow's eyes lock his, peeling his soul, his guilt, his choice to flee, heavy, endless. The hymns move, slow, curling towards him, cold like Elias's voice, claiming. Caleb pulls back, flashlight trembling. The cemetery shrinks, tombs creaking, shadows snapping at his skin, cold like fate's grip. He shouts, voice breaking, asking what Elias wants. No answer, just the hum, louder, weaving his name with pain. A bond he broke, a truth he killed. The shadows surge, their forms merging. A tide of eyes, not human, but debt, Elias's debt. Caleb's marked, he bolts, stones slipping, shadows snapping at his heels. The gravestone flares, red, alive. The district roars, oaks lunging, but Caleb runs, alleys blurring, the hum chasing. Caleb, patient, eternal. The loft looms, door open though he locked it. Notebook pulsing inside, waiting. He slams it shut, gasping. The notebook's last page glows. You're bound. The hum fades but lingers in him, looping. His will is his no more. The ghostly choir's curse tightens. What would you do with a song that knows your heart, voices that never fade? Would you fight or heed their call? Caleb's trapped in the choir's curse and the truth's about to twist. Don't look away. This story's humming darker, deeper than Savannah's blackest graves. Caleb's breath catches. The notebook sears. You're bound, glowing red. The ghostly choir's hum claws his soul, whispering, Caleb, spilling his secrets. A trust he broke, a truth he dodged. The loft trembles. Savannah twists, its hymns weaving Elias Marrow's curse, binding his guilt, his shame, his name. Shadows glide with endless eyes, not moss, but sins, hungry, stealing his core. He clutches the notebook, spirals pulsing. Ruth's warning echoes, "Don't linger after dark." But Caleb's deep in the choir's hum, his thoughts no longer his. The song grows, chanting, Caleb from the district, naming sins, small scars now chains, a book he botched, a mentor he failed. A chant twists, not walls but air, shadows rise, their eyes his, Elias's, pulling him to the cemetery, to its stones. Caleb bolts, notebook slipping. The city roars, Caleb, weaving his regrets, raw and endless. The district's dense, oaks snapping, the hum deafening. You failed. You ran. The gravestone looms, spirals flaring red. Shadows circle, clearer now, souls lost, their eyes hungry, endless. His flashlight dies. The hum chants Caleb, promising peace if he stays, ruin if he fights. The hymns coil, slow, toward him, cold like Elias's voice, claiming his will. He dives for the stone, hands burning, and pries it open. Moss parts revealing carvings, old, etched tight. Names carved, Elias's, others, Caleb's, fresh, wet. The graves scream, shadows lunging, their touch frost, peeling his heart, his choice to flee, his failure. Caleb shouts, voice lost. The stone pulses, hymns tightening, but he tears free, running. The district roars, the hum screaming, Caleb, patient, eternal. The alleys fade, Savannah dark. Caleb's car stutters, engine alive. He drives, cemetery shrinking, notebook lost, but the hum's in him, singing, Caleb, promising Elias waits. Miles out, he stops, hands trembling. His reflection's wrong, eyes too deep, glinting like theirs. The ghostly choir doesn't sing, it binds. Caleb's secrets are theirs, a will snared in hymns, unpaid forever. Savannah's oaks still hum, calling name, stealing souls. What would you do with a song that knows your heart? Voices that never break. Stories like these don't end, they linger, make you flinch at every hymn. If your skin's crawling, smash that like button, show us you're here. Comment below, would you heed the choir or run? Share this with a friend who'd jump at a hum, or one who'd scoff just to spook them. Subscribe to Shadow Watch, hit the bell, and brace for more tales that'll haunt your nights. Next time, we're diving deeper, unless you're too scared to hear.